Welcome to the Jeremy Mullins podcast, where we take a deep dive into different educational topics to help you optimize your life. I am Jeremy, your host. I am here today with Miss Boots. Yes. And co-host Mr. Reno.
Hey.
And today is a special day.
Special day. The big number.
This is our 100th podcast episode.
Yeah. Wild.
Pretty cool to think about. And when, we first started, it's like, I know for me, like I have all these ideas and it's like, we'll rock and roll. And the first, 10 or so came out, fairly easy because I had months to think about like what I wanted to do.
Yep.
But then it's like, it kind of sometimes like to think about, well, what do we want to talk about? Like, what would be a good episode?
Yep.
And from your end, like there's a lot of work that goes into editing and putting, the podcast up and making it happen. Like, so to be able to knock out 100 of these in a year and plan to go to a show where we're doing, more of them, next year is like super exciting.
Yeah. I remember the exact moment. It was me, you, Abshire walking in the rain on a ruck at Boone Center in Frankfurt. And you were like, I have this idea, podcast, and you've wanted to do it for years.
Yeah.
I was like, too easy, whatever. And then, I don't know, a few months later, it was launched. But this is a year of podcasting. We started it right after Christmas.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, to think of it, because it dropped.
It dropped the day after Christmas through the New Year. So right now, when this comes out, we are a week away from it being
That's
full year of podcasting.
I didn't think about that.
Not many people make it a full year.
No, and I think it's one of the things, and I've said it to you before, like having you when you was like, oh, too easy, like let's go. Like that was just so much relief because it took out all the unknowns about, well, how do I do a podcast? How do I upload it? Et cetera, versus you're like, yeah, I got that. And I'm like, oh, well, I've got the talking.
Yeah.
Some people can't understand me, but that's okay. Sometimes we need, closed captions so they can understand the accent. But like, to me, it was like, all right, let's roll with it. And, it's been so cool because I've had people that I've worked with, 2 decades ago that are listening to the podcast and like, hey, it's awesome to hear you educating again. It's awesome to hear the stories. We brought on, of course, new people and to see that we have 50,000 downloads, in less than a year, like that's been some cool stuff. Like, I'm not lost in the fact of like, we could do this and nobody could listen to it, to have the support of the listeners, to have people sharing it, on social media. Like it's been a cool journey so far.
Yeah, I've been blown away. I'm not used to being in front of the camera and I still like being behind the camera, but, I enjoy editing them. I enjoy listening to them. I enjoy everything that's come out. The community is wild. Where we go to, First Form HQ, where I'm talking to them on the phone.
Yeah.
It has been wild, the buy-in that the podcast has brought. Yep.
Well, and here's the thing I keep thinking about, right? And I think it goes with like what we're saying, like where we're going and what we're doing. We work well together, right? Because I like to be in front of the camera in the sense of like, I like to educate. I don't know if I like to be in front of the camera,
right,
but I like to be in front of people. I like to take and okay, this is a topic that's so confusing to people. How do I make it simple? How do I make it easy?
Yep.
Right? How do I explain insulin resistance to someone to make sure they understand it so we can have success? Like that's the cool stuff to me, but like I fear all this stuff that like you're actually really good at. And that's kind of where we're coming is like, we're like, hey, how do we combine our strengths into something to continue to help people? And that's where we're at for 2025 is we're actually combining, quote unquote, the JM podcast into United We Stand.
Right.
We're going to be business partners.
Yep.
Which is crazy for me.
Yeah.
Like if we say, hey, Jeremy, you own a media company? Yeah, but I'm kind of the lead educator. Don't ask me like what cameras to get people, all right? Just because I'm going to be now a part owner of a media company. Don't ask me those questions.
Yeah. No, and I think it's full circle because I've had plenty of people that I'm like, oh, I could go into business with this person, but it's like, what's the ins and outs? This is the first time that I'm just like, take it, like done, like let's partner, let's do this.
Well, and I think it's a lot of that is like our strengths are totally different, right? So we don't have to worry about, you don't have to worry about me coming in and being like, well, we should do this on the media aspect. Like I get to continue educating, providing value. One of the things we're going to look at doing is, building some online courses and online where when our people are ready, they can go in, they can click on these courses and all that education will be right there. Right. Yeah. And, so that's going to be a way to educate people. And even because we get a lot of feedback from people like, hey, I love that, but I'd love to hear the second layer of it. But you always have to look at who your audience is. Right. So a lot of times I don't go into second, third layer of education because I know the audience a lot of times is people that are just trying to get started, that are going on the wellness journey. But we can make some educational tools for coaches out there so that they can increase and they can step up their coaching game and produce better results, even more people. Because once again, for me, with the ultimate goal of help as many people as possible, I don't have to be the person that educates them. Yep. If these coaches are using some of the things that I've learned in 2 decades of coaching of how to coach people better.
Yeah. The HDF model kind of nails it, or the Army's model nails it, train the trainer.
Yep.
I think this is a perfect time to launch some sort, we don't know when this is going to happen, but launch a online platform to where you educate whoever's willing to be a part of the platform, and then they get to go out and say the same things. Yep. And see the impact that you've been able to provide for the last 2 decades.
Yeah, 100%. Another thing that we're going to continue to do, we kind of started doing this with some of our sponsors this year, because a lot of our initial sponsors, Summit, Green Up Wealth, those were individuals that I had personal relationships with, and they really, and I truly believe this, like in the beginning, it was supporting me, right? Like it was an ask of, hey, I'm going to do this, really need help, with some equipment, getting off the ground, et cetera, and they jumped on board, right? And in return, like, coming to you and your strengths, we're like, hey, could we make some, marketing media stuff for these small businesses. Yep. Right. And that's what we're going to get into more for, individuals that have businesses, whether that's influencers, whether that's, big businesses, like, hey, how can we help you tell your story? What media do you need to be done?
Yep.
Do you need someone to run your social media? Right. Because that's something big that we see. Like you can see a company that's doing well, but they minimal social media.
Yep.
Right. And the social media they do have, they don't, someone makes a comment on it, that page is not coming back. And you have to do that, right? Because a lot of times, and there's different social media aspects, but if someone, all they do is live on Facebook, for example, that's where they get a lot of their information maybe. And maybe they have a question about your business and they ask you a question on your page. And if you don't answer them, the likelihood of them coming back to your business is slim to none.
Yeah. You can't post and ghost until you kind of already have a platform. Like on your things, you have 30,000 people. It would be easy for you to post and ghost and people still interact and all that stuff.
Listen, when someone makes a comment on my page, I try to go and comment back to it. Like it's always been, because that's what social media is, right? A post and ghost would be like, you're at a party and you go up and say hi to someone and then they say hi back and you don't say anything to them.
Yeah.
Right? Like your post is saying hi.
Yep.
And then the response back is, hey. And then
that's it.
You just sit there and look at them.
Yep.
No different if you make a post about like, hey, I have a service. Okay. One of the other services we're thinking about doing it, and this is going to be scary because Reno's going to teach me how to take photos. Right. But, we want to get into like, at this time of year, Christmas, for example, family photos. Right. We're going to build this into our studios where if people want to come in, do family photos and do it at a price that is a little bit less than what's out there. Because like you were saying, some of the prices that we're seeing for headshots and family photos is like ridiculous. No wonder families don't want to do that, especially around Christmas time.
Yeah. Of course you're seeing the Land Rovers pull up to the family photos.
Yeah.
I want the everyman to be able to come in and get an awesome family photo to send out to whoever.
Right. So, that's kind of our vision with, United We Stand is we want to provide and tell stories, whether that story is your family's photos, telling a story. We want to be able to provide that at a price that most people can do. Right. And that is what I'm super excited about is be able to tell stories and be able to educate people on things in life and help other brands and help other people, build as we go. And that's, I am super stoked about the possibilities, that we're going to have.
Yeah. if you're a company and you're watching the podcast and you listen and you want to sponsor the podcast, that's one thing. But there's also tiers to where you sponsor the podcast and you get us to be able to create content for you, or even outside the podcast we can create content. But we do create luxury content affordably, and that's where we beat out every other media company in the entire country.
And you don't, and I like this about you, like you don't brag and all that, but like you did some awesome stuff for Chick-fil-A.
Right. Yeah. We filmed 3 videos for Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
National campaigns. I've done National Park Service stuff.
Yep.
The posters out there in the studio, we've shot a full feature film with the UFC.
Yep.
And I don't tell people, like, I just say UFC was a client. I don't ever really post that I've have a whole film you can watch on Amazon Prime. You can watch it in every Hilton Marriott hotel. I make royalties on the film. I don't talk about it. Also, I just don't like gloating.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool, though. No. And the reason I'm bringing it up is so people can understand, right? And, we're going to try to do better about that, especially, coming in with our Facebook page and our Instagram page with United We Stand, is just putting a little bit more stuff out there, so people understand, like, what are the things you do? And really into the last couple of months, as we've talked about this and we're moving forward with it, I didn't know the things that you're capable of.
Yep.
The things that you could do and how, in quotation, easy it is to take photos and edit it. And I'm like, well, why are people charging so much?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right?
It's crazy. Yeah, talk about price gouging over the last whatever year from all these businesses. The film and photo industry has been doing it since the beginning of time.
Yeah, so that's just that's crazy to me, and I'm super excited to like learn some new skills myself and get into the side of media and help tell other stories. But other people out there, too, that's listening, like if you're a coach and you want to get a podcast started, like we can do that.
Yep.
Right. We can edit it, and we can post it, take care of everything. You just got to, once again, create the material, just like me in the beginning. Right. Like I want people to understand that if you have a story and you have a platform and you're wanting to start a podcast and get it out there, like let us take care of the back end stuff. Yep. Because that was the same boat I was in. Like that was my hurdle. Those were the things that I was scared about in the beginning that you were just like, yeah, I got that. So no matter what it is, if it's full-fledged media, you want us to take on your social media and run your social media, those are all things that we're looking to do in the future, as a media company.
That's right. Yeah. You can podcast in person here in Kentucky, or if you're in the northern Florida area, you can also podcast at that studio as well. Or there's tiers to it. We can purchase the equipment for you and send it to you, and you can have it there, or you can invest it in yourself. There's levels to every single thing that we produce or offer. But yeah, you want to start a podcast, we can do that immediately. I can get you on Amazon, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts in 48 hours.
Yep. If you want pet photos.
Pet photos are huge. And I don't want to speak into existence, but if the person's listening, I'm ready for some pet photos from a pet company in Florida.
Hey, yes. That was one thing where I was, because I was hesitant, like, I knew that the podcast brings value, but I was like, what am I going to do with a media company? But it was cool when he reached out to you and that you were able to do exactly what he was looking for.
Yep.
Because I've known them for years. Right. So that's where I'm excited. Like there's probably a lot of people that I know that needs our services. And I think once, hey, we announced this, that now this is something that, I'm involved with. I think we're going to get a lot of quality of people that we can help.
Yep.
And, for me, that's cool because it's not necessarily helping them in their wellness career, but it's helping them in their business or in their professional career by being able to film, being able to create content and help them tell their story, whatever that looks like.
Yep.
Right. Whether it's a story of the quality of, pet products that, this company has available. Right. That's the story.
Yeah.
Man-made, US made pet products, right?
Yep.
That you can get shipped to your door. That's the story.
Yeah,
and that's going to be so cool to be a part of that.
Yeah. All the content we produce is not just some manufactured marketing ploy to make a bunch of money off of some random story that we came up with in a drawing in a room.
Right.
It's that product has a story.
Yep.
That food has a story. That car company has a story. Mechanic has a story. Like whatever it is, my motto's been since the beginning, since I got out of college: people over profit.
Yep.
You can make a profit by doing the right thing. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're doing luxury of content affordably. People over profit every time.
I love it. Specifically for the JM podcast, it may change names. It may go to the JM show, the Jeremy Mullins show, because we are moving to doing a show episode every single day, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year, 365 days a year. With leap years, 356, right? Is it one extra day?
Yeah,
or is
one
that
extra
right?
day.
Yeah. Basically,
Or one less day?
one less day, whatever. All jokes aside, we're going to do a show where we're going to put out every single day. And the most exciting part about that for me is bringing on more guests and being able to tell their story.
Yep.
Right. So that's probably one of the most exciting things I have, from that aspect is telling people stories and what was the struggles when they first started their wellness journey versus what they're doing now.
Yep.
So thank you guys for being a part of this. Thank you for all the listeners, all the downloads, all the likes, all the shares, leaving comments, thank you to our sponsors, thank you to our future sponsors. Right. And once again, no matter how small, big your business is, what your budget is, reach out to us. We have different levels, that we can work with, because if we can help, someone has a limited budget, grow, yep. We understand that budget would grow for us. Yep. And the more things we can do,
yep.
So in the beginning, it might just be, quote a few photos that we can take and maybe a shout out on one episode of the podcast. If that's what's available, then we can start there. Or we can move on up to, like you said, we can run your social media for you in the future. If that's,
we can be your white label
media company. Yep. All the way up to that. So once again, super excited about the future, man. I'm excited about, already having, this is headquarters located here in Kentucky and then a satellite site located in Tallahassee already. We're going to be rocking and rolling for the future.
Yes, sir.
Listeners, once again, appreciate you. And we hope you have a wonderful day.
See you.